The sun was low in the sky, and the sand looked red like it was holding its breath. In a quiet desert town far away, 10 children were standing close together. They were small. Some were very small. Their hands were shaking, but they held each other so they would not fall. The oldest boy was named Elior. He was only 12, but his eyes looked older because he had seen fear too many times. He stood in front, trying to block the wind for the younger ones. Beside him was Mina, a girl with soft eyes and dusty hair. She kept whispering the same words again and again, very softly, like a song only her heart could hear. Jesus loves us. Jesus loves us. The youngest child was Kobe. He was 6. He did not fully understand why they were there. He only knew that his mother was not with him and that the ground felt hot under his feet. He looked up at Elior and asked in a small voice, "Are we going home now?" Elior swallowed hard. He wanted to say yes. He wanted to smile, but his mouth would not move. Around them, grown men watched. Their faces were hard like stone. No one smiled. No one spoke kindly. The air felt heavy, like something bad was about to happen, and even the birds had stopped singing. The children were there for one reason only. They believed in Jesus. They prayed to him. They spoke his name when they were afraid. And for that, they were brought to this place. Mina's hands were cold. She remembered her father's voice from long ago, when everything was still safe. "Do not be afraid," he had said. "Even if the world shakes, Jesus does not leave his children." Mina closed her eyes and held that memory tight. The wind grew stronger. Flames nearby crackled and jumped. Kobe covered his ears. Sorry, a quiet girl who rarely spoke, began to cry. Her tears fell into the sand and disappeared right away, like the desert was drinking them. Elior felt fear like a big wave inside his chest. He was afraid, yes. But deeper than the fear was something else. Hope, small, but alive. He remembered a story he once heard in secret. A story about a man who walked on water. A man who stopped storms. A man who loved children and said they were very important. "Jesus," Elior whispered. His voice shook. "If you are real, please come." The other children heard him. One by one, they began to whisper too. Not loud, not brave, just honest. "Jesus, help us. Jesus, don't leave us. Jesus, we are scared." Their voices were small, but together they filled the air. Something changed. The wind stopped suddenly. The flames became quiet, like they were listening. The men watching shifted and looked around, confused. The sky, which had been bright, slowly darkened, not with night, but with something deeper. Something heavy, something powerful. Kobe felt warm, not from the fire, but from inside his chest. He looked around and saw light. Soft light. It was not hurting his eyes. It felt gentle, like when his mother used to hold him. "Mina," he whispered, "do you see that?" Mina opened her eyes. Her breath caught in her throat. The light was growing. Elior's heart began to beat fast. Not with fear now, with wonder. The sand beneath their feet felt cool. The air smelled clean, like rain that had not yet fallen. Every child felt it, a deep knowing. They were not alone. Far away, a figure began to appear, walking calmly, step by step, through the light. The children did not scream. They did not run. Somehow, they knew. Jesus was coming, and this was only the beginning. The figure in the light grew clearer as it approached. He was tall but gentle, with eyes that looked into every heart at once. His feet barely touched the ground, yet each step seemed to make the light spread further, like the desert itself was waking up. The children could not see his face fully, yet they felt his presence everywhere, as if he was both around them and inside them at the same time. Elior's knees trembled, but he held Mina's hand tightly. She could feel his heartbeat against her palm, fast and strong, but not with fear anymore. Hope, real hope, was blossoming like a small flower in their chest. Kobe's mouth opened, but no words came out. He only stared, wide-eyed, at the figure, and somehow understood that he was safe. The men who had brought the children to this place froze. Their hands, which had been holding harsh ropes, shook. The fire that had been prepared suddenly faltered, the flames dancing strangely as if they were afraid. Some of the men stepped back. Others tried to look brave, but even their courage seemed to vanish before the glow that surrounded the figure. "Do not be afraid," the figure said. His voice was soft but carried across the desert like the wind itself was speaking. It was a voice that knew every secret, every sorrow, every fear. It calmed the children instantly, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from their chests. Elior swallowed hard. His voice, which had been trapped by fear, finally found a way out. Who are you? I am with you, the figure replied. Always. You are never alone. The children felt something shift inside them. The fear that had been clawing at their hearts for days, for hours, even for minutes, began to melt away. They felt warmth, safety, and a love they had only ever dreamed of. It wrapped around them like a blanket, soft and strong at the same time. One of the men tried to step forward, but the figure lifted his hand, and the man froze. His eyes widened in shock. He could not move. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. His anger, his plan, his cruelty, all of it stopped in that moment. The children noticed something else. The ropes that bound them fell away as if invisible hands had untied them. They looked down at their wrists and ankles in disbelief. Kobe laughed quietly, a sound of pure joy. It's gone. We're free. Mina hugged Kobe tightly, her tears falling freely now, but these were not tears of fear. They were tears of relief, of wonder, of gratitude. Sorry, the quietest of the children, whispered for the first time since they had been brought here. He's real, he really came. Elior felt a strength inside him he had never known. He wanted to run, to shout, to tell everyone that this was happening. But he knew that the moment was sacred. The light around the figure was soft but powerful, and it made everything around them glow. The sand, the stones, even the sky above, which now shimmered with colors no one could name. The figure looked at each child with eyes full of love. Your faith has carried you. You have trusted even when the world was frightening. That trust is strong, and it will always protect you. Then, almost as suddenly as he had appeared, the figure began to move again. His steps were slow, deliberate, and each one seemed to change the air itself. The fire, once prepared for destruction, flickered weakly and then went out completely. Smoke drifted away on the wind, and the men who had brought the children stood frozen, unable to comprehend what they had seen. Elior took a deep breath and felt the warmth of hope spread through every part of him. He turned to the others. We're alive, he whispered. His voice was shaky, but it was filled with something new, faith. Real faith, unshakable. Mina squeezed his hand. And he's with us, she said, her voice soft but firm. The children walked slowly away from the place where they had been held. Each step felt lighter than the one before. Kobe ran a little ahead, laughing, spinning in circles in the cool sand. Sari walked with her head high, a small smile on her face, as if she finally understood the meaning of courage. The men remained behind, frozen and silent, witnessing a miracle they could neither explain nor ignore. Some of them whispered prayers under their breath, secretly, as if the light had awakened something they had long forgotten. The children kept walking, hand in hand, surrounded by the warm glow of the figure that had saved them. They did not need to look back. They did not need to fear. Jesus had come, and he had changed everything. And in that desert, under a sky that seemed brighter than ever before, the children began to understand that faith could move mountains, calm storms, and even stop the fire itself. They were no longer just children. They were witnesses to something eternal, something that would live inside them forever. The desert was quiet now, but the silence was not empty. It was full of a strange, warm energy, like the air itself remembered what had just happened. The children walked slowly, their small feet leaving prints in the soft sand. Elior led the way, still holding Mina's hand tightly, while Kobe skipped beside them, laughing and pointing at the shimmering light that seemed to follow them. Even Sari, usually so quiet, walked with a gentle smile, her eyes wide with wonder. The sky above began to change. Golden clouds stretched across the horizon, reflecting the light of a sun that felt different somehow, warmer, kinder, like it was celebrating with them. Each breath they took was filled with relief, but also with a deep, growing sense of awe. They knew that what had happened was no ordinary thing. Something miraculous had touched their lives. Elior glanced behind them. The men who had brought them to the desert were gone. Their angry faces, once twisted with cruelty, had vanished into the distance, leaving only the soft hum of the wind. The children knew they had escaped danger, but Elior also knew they could not let their guard down. The desert was wide, and though it seemed peaceful, it could hide many threats. Mina tightened her grip on Elior's hand. "Do you think they'll try to find us again?" she asked quietly. Elior thought for a moment, then shook his head. "I don't know, but we have him with us. Jesus is with us." The words were like a shield. Even the youngest, Kobe, could sense it. "He'll keep us safe?" he asked, looking up at Elior with wide, trusting eyes. "Yes," Elior said firmly. "He will never leave us." As they walked, the children began to notice small signs of life around them. Birds began to return to the desert, their songs soft but clear, like whispers of encouragement. Tiny flowers pushed through the sand, petals bright against the dull earth. Even the wind seemed gentler, almost playful, carrying the scent of something sweet and new. Suddenly, a shadow passed across the sand ahead of them. Elior stopped immediately, heart pounding. He motioned for the others to stay quiet. Mina's grip on his hand tightened, and Sari's small hand trembled against her chest. Kobe hid behind Elior's legs, peeking out nervously. From the shadow emerged a man, tall and thin, his face partially hidden by a dusty cloak. His eyes were sharp and calculating. Elior felt a familiar fear rise in his chest, but this time it did not overwhelm him. He whispered a prayer under his breath, a short, urgent plea to Jesus. The man spoke, his voice rough and cold. "Children, where are you going? Don't you know what happens to those who leave?" Elior swallowed hard. We are free now," he said carefully. "We're going home." The man laughed, a sound that made the wind shiver. "Free? You think anyone can protect you out here?" Before the man could take another step, a bright light spread across the desert. It was not like the sunlight. It was softer, gentler, yet it burned with power. The man shielded his eyes, stumbling back as though an invisible wall had stopped him. The children felt the same warmth from before, wrapping around them like a cloak. They were safe, held in something far bigger than themselves. "Go home, children," a voice said, calm and full of authority. "Do not be afraid, I am with you." The man fell to his knees, trembling. He had seen something he could not explain, something beyond fear, beyond reason. He muttered a prayer under his breath, quietly, ashamed and amazed at the same time. Then he rose slowly and disappeared into the desert, leaving the children untouched, free to continue their journey. Hours passed as they moved carefully across the endless sand. The light that followed them grew dimmer as the sun climbed higher, but the warmth in their hearts never faded. Each child began to feel something new, courage. Even Kobe, who had been so scared at first, started pointing out small wonders, a lizard crossing their path, a colorful bird perched on a rock. They began to laugh softly, a sound of relief and life returning. Mina whispered a question that had been on her mind since the rescue. "Elior, why did he save us? Why us?" Elior thought carefully. "Because we believed. Because we trusted him, even when we were afraid. Because we kept our hearts open, even when the world was cruel. He sees that, and he loves it." Sari nodded silently, as if understanding more than words could say. The children walked on, moving as one. The desert, once a place of fear, now felt like a land of promise. The sun shone, the wind danced, and even the sand seemed to hum quietly beneath their feet. By the time evening approached, they saw lights in the distance. A small village, warm and welcoming, appeared on the horizon. Their journey was far from over, but the children felt something inside them stronger than any fear, the unshakable truth that they were never alone. Elior led them forward, his heart full, his voice steady. "We are going home, and nothing can stop us now." The children walked faster, their spirits lifted by the thought of safety and warmth. They did not look back at the desert, at the dangers they had left behind. All that mattered now was the light before them, the love that had saved them, and the knowledge that faith could carry them through anything. And in that moment, each child understood something that would never leave them: miracles were real. Courage was born in the heart of fear. And love, real love, was the strongest force in the universe. The sun had dipped low again, painting the desert sky with deep oranges and purples. The children's small village was still far away, but their hearts were lighter than before. The warmth of the miraculous light they had seen followed them quietly, like a soft promise. Even Kobe, who had been jumping and laughing just moments ago, felt a calm settle over him as the shadows grew longer. Elior walked at the front, keeping a careful eye on the desert. Though Jesus had protected them before, the journey was not yet over. The desert could be unpredictable, and danger could still hide in its folds. He could see the others looking at him for reassurance. Mina held his hand tightly, Sari walked close beside her, and Kobe stayed near their feet, glancing at the horizon with wide eyes. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed across the desert. The sand beneath their feet trembled slightly. The children froze, their hearts beating fast. Mina's eyes filled with fear. Elior, what is that? Elior whispered a prayer, feeling the familiar warmth of protection surround him. I don't know, he said, but we trust him. He is with us. The rumble grew louder. From behind a dune, a cloud of dust rose. Figures appeared, moving quickly, their intentions unclear. Elior felt a flash of fear but pushed it back. He turned to the children. Stay close. Keep walking. Don't panic. The figures approached, shadows stretching across the sand. The children could see they carried long sticks, but there was something strange, something hesitant, in their movements. Jesus' presence filled the air, though they could not see him now. The warmth, the safety, the unshakable courage, it wrapped around the children like a shield. The tallest of the figures stepped forward and raised his hand. His voice was harsh, but faltered as he spoke. Stop. You cannot leave. Elior took a deep breath. We are not afraid, he said boldly. We are protected. Leave us alone. The man sneered, but before he could move closer, the wind shifted. A brilliant light spread across the desert, brighter than the fading sun. The children could feel it in their chests, in their bones, in every part of them. It was the same light that had saved them before, the same warmth that made fear impossible. The men froze, squinting into it, their shadows flickering on the sand. Sari stepped forward, small but steady. Go back, she whispered, though her voice carried like a shout. We are not yours to harm. The figures hesitated. Some of them whispered prayers under their breath, and the youngest among them lowered his stick, confused and afraid. The desert seemed to stretch endlessly, but the light around the children grew stronger. Then something miraculous happened. A sudden, strong wind rose, lifting the sand and swirling it around the intruders. The children could hear faint voices calling out in fear as the wind pressed them back, almost like invisible hands guiding them away. The children did not run. They simply kept walking, their steps steady, their hearts full of faith. Mina looked at Elior, tears of relief streaming down her face. It's like, he's clearing the path for us, she said softly. Elior nodded. He is. We just have to keep believing. The wind carried the figures away, farther and farther, until the desert seemed empty again. The children stopped to catch their breath, hearts pounding from fear and awe. Even Kobe, usually full of questions, whispered in amazement, He really is with us. As night fell, the sky filled with stars, brighter than they had ever seen. Each star seemed to shine directly on the children, as if guiding them forward. They walked slowly, their feet tired but their spirits renewed. The desert, which had once seemed vast and dangerous, now felt like a home in which they were never alone. Hours later, faint lights appeared in the distance, small fires, a warm glow. Their village was near. Elior's heart soared. The journey had been long, filled with fear and doubt, but they had made it. Jesus had guided every step, protected them, and strengthened their hearts when courage seemed impossible. The children entered the village quietly, careful not to wake anyone. They felt the relief of home wrap around them like a warm blanket. Parents and families would soon discover the miracle, but for now, the children only needed to rest and feel the safety of being alive. Elior looked at his friends. Mina smiled through her tears. Kobe yawned, exhaustion mixing with happiness. Sari's eyes sparkled with wonder. They had faced fire, fear, and danger, and they had survived. Not because of their own strength, but because they had believed, and he had never left them. In the quiet of the night, the children prayed together, holding hands. Their words were soft but full of truth. Thank you, Jesus, for never leaving us. For protecting us. For showing us that love is stronger than fear. And in the stillness, they knew it was true. No darkness, no danger, no fear could ever take away the light that lived in their hearts. The miracle of that day would stay with them forever, a living reminder that faith could move mountains, calm storms, and make even the impossible possible. The night was quiet, but the village seemed to hum with life. Tiny fires flickered in homes, smoke rising slowly into the cool desert air. The children moved carefully through the village streets, their bare feet silent on the soft earth. Each of them carried a heart still racing with awe and gratitude, knowing that what had happened was more than just luck, it was a miracle. Elior led the way, holding Mina's hand, while Sari walked beside him, her small steps full of confidence she had never felt before. Kobe ran ahead, chasing the shadows of the night, laughing softly, a sound of pure joy that had nothing to do with fear. The desert behind them was quiet now, its secrets left far away, and before them lay the warm lights of home. As they approached the first houses, voices called out in alarm. Parents and neighbors rushed toward them, eyes wide with worry that quickly turned to disbelief. Mothers gathered their children, fathers held them close, and some fell to their knees in silent prayer. The village had expected tragedy, but instead, these 10 children walked safely into the arms of their families. Mina ran into her mother's embrace, sobbing and laughing at the same time. I thought we would never come back," she whispered, her voice shaking. Her mother held her tightly, tears streaming down both their faces, hearts full of relief and amazement. Elior knelt beside Kobe, hugging him tightly. "We're home," he said softly. "Jesus brought us back." Kobe looked up, his small eyes shining. "He really did," he said, as if saying it out loud made it more real. Sari, usually silent and reserved, stepped forward to greet her family. She looked into their eyes and smiled, a quiet but radiant expression. "We believed," she said simply. "He saved us." The villagers, many of whom had heard rumors of danger but had feared the worst, could not believe their eyes. They crowded around the children, asking questions, praising God, and shedding tears of gratitude. For many, this was more than just a miraculous rescue, it was a reminder that faith could move mountains and that love and courage could triumph even in the darkest moments. Elior stood quietly for a moment, watching the reunion, feeling a deep sense of peace. He thought of the desert, of the fire they had faced, and of the brilliant light that had saved them. He realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to trust, even when fear was strong. Mina, holding her mother's hand, whispered to Elior, "Do you think we'll ever forget?" Elior smiled gently. "No," he said, "we'll carry this forever. The lesson, the love, the miracle, it will live in our hearts always." Kobe tugged at Elior's sleeve. "Will he always be with us?" Elior knelt to his level and looked into his brotherly friend's eyes. "Yes, always," he promised, and he keeps his promises. Even when we cannot see him, he is with us. And now, we know he can do anything. As the village settled into the quiet of night, the children shared their story with those who would listen. They spoke of faith, hope, and courage. They told of the light that had stopped the fire, the warmth that had filled their hearts, and the love that had never left them, even when danger was near. Their words were simple, yet every listener felt the power behind them, the truth of a miracle that could not be explained by fear or chance. That night, the village slept with a renewed sense of hope. The desert, once a place of fear and uncertainty, had become a symbol of divine protection and faith. The children rested, safe in their beds, hearts full of wonder and gratitude, knowing that their courage and trust had been rewarded. In the days that followed, the story spread quietly from village to village. It was a story not just of escape, but of the power of belief, of the strength found in the smallest hearts, and of the love that watches over all who trust. The children became living proof that miracles happen, that hope never dies, and that even the darkest moments can be overcome with faith. And in the hearts of Elior, Mina, Sari, Kobe, and the others, a quiet, powerful truth remained. Fear may come, danger may appear, but love, true, unshakable love, will always prevail. They had seen it, they had felt it, and they would carry it with them forever. Their journey had ended, but the light that had guided them, the courage that had carried them, and the love that had saved them would shine in their hearts forever. Summary. In a distant desert village, 10 children faced danger for their faith, threatened by fear and uncertainty. Despite the odds, they trusted in Jesus, praying for protection even when hope seemed impossible. Through miraculous intervention, they were saved from harm, guided safely through the desert, and returned to their families. Along the journey, they discovered that courage is not the absence of fear, but trusting in something greater than themselves. Their story became a testament to faith, hope, and the unshakable power of love, showing that even the smallest hearts can witness miracles. Moral lesson: this story teaches that faith and trust in God can give strength even in the darkest moments. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to keep moving forward despite it. Love, hope, and belief have the power to overcome danger, fear, and uncertainty. Miracles can happen when we hold on to our faith, and even small hearts can make a difference when guided by divine love. The end.